Take three. Hi, I'm Mitch Juricich, and welcome to Hooked on the Niners.
And I'm Mark Naismith, and we'll take a look at the win against the Arizona Cardinals, a game we all thought the Niners would win, and that they did.
And I'm Terrell Jones. We're going to look at Clash of the Titans down in Nashville.
And this week as our guest, we bring in yet another writer who has written a book. Amazing how we drag you guys up. Matt Mayoko, who used to be with Contra Costa Times and is now with Comcast CSN?
CSN Bay Area?
CSN Bay Area.
Ooh, big
exclusively.
time.
And we'll talk about that book and all that. And we have our secret word. If somebody guesses this word, they win all this money. And it has something to do with football. All that, not a darn thing more. Right here, Hooked on the Niners.
Hooked on the Niners is supported by the Canyon Inn, 650-369-1646, and on the web at www.canyoninn.com. Bach Construction, 650-344-4844, or on the web at www.bachconstruction.com. Lawson's Wildlife Adventures, 650-504-3400. On the web at www.lawsonwildlifeadventures.com. Tisa's Pepper Jelly, 650-787-2357. And on the web at tisaspepperjelly.com. Check out the Peninsula TV studio with over 2,000 square feet of space in the auditorium of the Samtrans building in San Carlos. One studio, many looks. From a simple talk show to an onstage production, from musical performances to business webcasts, PowerPoint presentations, Skype interviews. With our state-of-the-art control room, we're one mouse click away from going live from our studio to the internet or to Peninsula TV. For more information, call 650-637-1936 or use the Contact Us form at pentv.tv.
Welcome back to Hooked on the Niners. Matt, it is good to see you again, as always, my man. We've got the guy that's got his finger on the pulse of the 49ers more than probably anyone in the Bay Area.
Mitch, I appreciate you asking me back after, what, 5, 6, 7 years. I do some of my best work on 6 years rest.
Yeah,
so.
well, you kind of wear on people pretty quickly. So anyhow, but you're the perfect guy to ask. Until Patrick Willis makes that play and causes that fumble, boy, that game was still in the hat. That was there to be won.
Yeah.
And it looked for all the world like Arizona was going to.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers got off to a very slow start on offense.
Yeah.
The defense played very well, but then they gave up uncharacteristically 2 huge plays that enabled them to go down and score. You wouldn't think that Arizona would be able to sustain drives against the 49ers defense, and they didn't. It was quick hitting. And then it took that play that Patrick Willis made, and early in the game, a couple good plays by Eric Reed, Carlos Rogers, but the offense couldn't cash in. But after that play, gave him the ball on the 11-yard line, that's when the offense showed for the first time really all year the balance that everyone expects them to have, and they showed it all on one drive. Granted, it was 18 plays, 89 yards, 9.5 minutes, but that was kind of what you expect the 49ers offense to be the entire season.
Yeah, it's kind of what we thought they were grind it and pound it out. And we've been saying on the show here for weeks, and I think you guys agreed that we're kind of holding judgment back on Kaepernick until he gets some weapons out there. And Vernon Davis played it extremely well, made 3 really nice catches. So if he's got weapons, he's okay. If he doesn't, another guy.
But, it's like Matt said, they start off really slow, and that kind of scares me because, let's say you're going against a better team than Arizona, who has a better offense, and, and I think I like Arizona's defense. But they start off slow like that against somebody who's a high-caliber team, we could be in a little bit of trouble. Yeah. And then plus, we talked about the receivers. Vernon had 8 catches.
Right.
Bolden had, what, 3 throughout the game?
The other three had 5.
Everybody else had 1.
Yeah.
And that's a concern. So
certainly not like the old days when we just got so spoiled by 49er football. They kick to us. Joe goes bingo, bango, bongo, 7-0.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that happens so many times, and we're so used to that. They're far removed from that.
Well, it was a tough start, as Matt said. You know, the first 3 trips to the red zone were like in the twilight zone, right? They're down inside the 10 3 times and get 2 field goals and a fumble. And, you know, against anybody, when you're down there, you got to start cashing in because especially against a good team and get them on the ropes. And that's what made me nervous. Is this going to continue to happen? And fortunately, it didn't.
You know, and I think Colin Kaepernick is a phenomenal talent.
Oh, absolutely.
But he hasn't raised that game to the point yet where he makes wide receivers better.
Yes.
Right.
And I think, you know, when you look at a guy like Tom Brady, you know, who's really, other than a couple guys, who has he had to throw to?
He's got a cast of characters.
He's made guys better than they are.
Right.
And that's proven when a guy like, you know, who
Tompkins.
all these guys, you know, back in the day, you know, David Givens or you know, Patton, or these guys who go to other teams with good contracts and they fall off the face of the earth. So Kaepernick hasn't taken it to that level where he can make other guys better, but he doesn't have, like you mentioned, doesn't have very many weapons.
Well, do you think he doesn't have confidence in those receivers yet because he hasn't really worked with a lot of those guys?
Well, think about it. You know, last season, it was all Michael Crabtree.
Right.
Sure. And almost
all the time.
And to the point where he wasn't even looking at Vernon Davis until the playoffs. Then Vernon Davis really got involved. So it was all Michael Crabtree, including 3 straight plays in the Super Bowl.
Please. We're trying
we're not. You can read about that in my book.
Thank you.
We won't talk about
We'll just
it.
rip that chapter out.
So what's going to be interesting is in the past 2 playoff runs with Alex Smith and last year with Kaepernick, the 49ers wide receiving core has been decimated and horrible. I mean, to the point where, you know, Brett Swain was a receiver on the one team. Then last year, Randy Moss clearly at the end was the other receiver. And the 49ers really didn't have a number 3 receiver. The 49ers have a chance this season with Manningham coming back, with Crabtree coming back, to have a top 3 wide receiver group that features Crabtree, Bolden, Manningham. That's pretty darn good.
That's not
and
bad.
then you add Vernon Davis, who might be the best weapon of all those guys. So the 49ers have an opportunity this season to be in far better shape with the passing game than they have been the previous 2 seasons.
Well, you know, and to kind of put it in perspective, excuse me, when you look at New England, you know, it's Tom Brady. Now, he's got one of his weapons from last year that they got rid of because of money. The other guy's injured, and the other guy's sitting in the stony lonesome. So, you know, but he is Tom Brady. Another thing to support Kaepernick, realistically, is he still a rookie? In terms of games played, what was it, 9 last year?
10, including the Super Bowl.
Oh, so and 6 now. So now he's not a rookie anymore.
Right. I mean, I totally see what you're saying here. Is that the experience? You know, he had 10 games. He was dynamic in those 10 games. There's no question. But then what happened was that every team that saw, okay, 49ers are on our schedule, hey, let's break down every snap that Colin Kaepernick took. And so now there's a book on him. Now it's up to Kaepernick, it's up to the offensive coaching staff to make that transition of, okay, this worked last year. Now we see what teams are doing. Let's adjust and stay one step ahead. And I think maybe perhaps this game against the Cardinals signaled that a little bit. I mean, we saw Packers had all those months to prepare. They put together a horrible game plan. And then you saw.
I thought it was okay.
Well, you must have him on you have Anquan Bolden on your fantasy team, I think.
It still seems a little bit odd to me that with his athletic skill. You know, we saw last year when things open up, he'd take off, and he did it pretty successfully. I thought they'd roll him out a little more this year, but he seems to be more of a pocket passer. And, you know, when you do that, you've got to see things very quickly. But I thought he'd roll out and kind of, you know, flex the defense a little more. I'm a little surprised at that. Because
I actually think he's a pocket passer.
But I mean, with that athletic skill, you'd think they'd get him on the edge a little more. Maybe, I don't know. What do I know? But
I'm
it just
not sure
seems
he's that accurate, though, when he's throwing on a run.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Maybe
that's the problem.
And, you know, for as much as people talk about the read option, how many big plays did he make just as a pocket passer
on his own?
When the play broke down. I mean, against the Packers, it wasn't until late in the second half until they started using that read option. Where his threat was last season was when teams are playing you know, man defense and they're running down the field and defensive backs have their backs turned to him, and he goes running through the secondary.
Right. You know, one of the guys on this show, and I won't
Is this
name
a
names,
secret? Is this a big
after the first game of the season, said that if you put all the players back in a hat and redrafted, Kaepernick would be the first guy picked out. Some nitwit said that
In
here.
the NFL?
In the NFL.
That year?
That right now, after the first game this year, that he'd be the first guy picked. We won't disclose.
After the first game, that probably would have been a.
So you agree with him?
Well, after week one.
Oh, see, you're on the smart side of the table.
After week one, maybe.
Wow.
Well, we spent
that was before the Indianapolis game.
Right. Yeah. We've spent enough time and worn that out. But defensively, how many more injuries can this team endure? Dorsey goes out real early. Thank God for Gerard Eddy.
Right.
This is number 3 on the depth chart.
How many times have you said that through your life?
Right, exactly. And as we're taping today, he was on the morning show with Murph and Mack. So, I mean, a third-string defensive tackle isn't going to get on a major metropolitan radio station in drive time.
Unless there's injuries.
Unless there's something happening. Just goes to show you what's happening there. And now, as you said, when I think we were off the air, the cavalry's coming. There's more guys coming back.
Yeah. The 49ers used this last draft, in a way that it shows that they have a luxury, because they took a guy in the second round that they knew wasn't going to be available through training camp and through at least the first part of the season. That's Tate Carradine.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, when you already had Ray McDonald and you had Justin Smith at those spots, now all of a sudden it's like, whoa, hey, this is a guy who's coming to the rescue now, because Ray McDonald isn't healthy and there's no guarantee he will be playing at a Ray McDonald level the rest of the season. Quinton Dial is a guy who the 49ers absolutely love. Yeah. And they love the fact that they got him in the 5th round. He had a toe injury. He didn't work out for teams before the combine. It's funny, when teams in the draft, they always take a very short-sighted view. Yeah. Oh, he's not going to be available for training camp? Well, that drops him down 2 rounds in the draft. Yeah. And when you think about, this guy, you're going to have this guy for 4 years.
Yeah.
A three-year SEC starter, too.
Yeah. So he's a guy they really like, and now he's a guy who's well-suited to play nose tackle. Yeah. Glenn Dorsey will be back. I'm not sure Glenn Dorsey isn't better than Ian Williams, actually.
He's the 5th pick in the draft.
He's pretty darn good. And he's doing what they want him to do. He's a base player. He's not going to get you 10 sacks a year. He's not going to get you 4 sacks a year. But what he's going to do is put the team in a good position, 3rd and long, and now here comes that nickel defense.
The play got hurt on. It was actually running after the guy. It was a very athletic play.
Absolutely right.
So maybe he should stay where.
And of course, the big thing is for those defensive, the nose tackles, to keep the guys off of our 2 inside linebackers who.
Well, that's what Vince Wilfork does.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, by the way, just to digress for a second, the 2 inside linebackers at Arizona are not something that I cherish facing twice a year for the next 4 million years.
Their defense.
They're good.
They have 5 guys that could be All-Pro.
Yeah.
Potentially. Right. So they really are good, and that was a big win. I think you predicted that. Didn't you just about predict that score?
I did.
You did. You guessed the secret word last week too.
I was on the roll.
We haven't made any guesses.
You're not
tuna taco. This is
no. This has to do with the NFL. You'll see. All right, when we come back, we'll go around the league a little bit. We're going to find out about this here book that Matt wrote, and we'll tell you how you can get it. We'll tell you all about it when we come back right here, Hooked on the Niners. That is a nice book.
Hooked on the Niners is supported by California Catering, San Mateo, 650-345-4881. On the web at CaliforniaCateringSanMateo.com. California Catering, South San Francisco, 650-589-0729. On the web at www.california-catering-company.com. California Catering, Emerald Hills, 650-369-4200. On the web at www.cacateringcompany.com. Bay 101 Casino, 408-451-8888. On the web at bay101.com.
Hi, I'm Katie Roletto, and I'm a local professional media producer. Thanks to Penn TV's volunteer program, I was able to expand upon my experience and gain some amazing training in the areas of television production right here in the Bay Area. The staff at Penn TV is very skilled and experienced in all aspects of technical production and really helped me learn and grow. If you're interested in finding out more about Penn TV's volunteer program, please visit them at www.penntv.tv and click on the volunteer tab. Thanks, Penn TV.
Welcome back to Hooked on the Niners. We like to bring in a smart guy every week to sit in and kind of, tilt the scale a little bit or even it out, I should say.
But instead, this week you brought me in. So
couldn't find one of those guys, so we settled for Matt. You wrote a book. Let's hold it up so that they can see it. I'll hold this up. It is called The Complete Illustrated History, San Francisco 49ers. Where were books like these when I had to do book reports in school, the picture books? Thanks.
Still 70,000 words in there. And a lot of pictures.
Not enough editing is what I'm going to say. What was the inspiration behind it?
Well,
money.
A lot of it, yeah. It got a huge chunk of change. No, it's kind of that transition period with the 49ers. Throughout the 80s and 90s, the heyday of the team, and now you're seeing that resurgence. And there were so many books about the team during that period, and this kind of brings it up to date now with Jim Harbaugh and what he's done with this organization and how the 49ers are relevant again in a big way. I mean, all you had to do was turn your TV on in the off season, and you'd be hard-pressed to figure out who won the Super Bowl. I mean, the 49ers were getting as much, if not more, attention than the team that actually won the Super Bowl. So the 49ers are at the tip of everybody's tongue right now. Everybody's talking about them. And it's a perfect time with the superstars. I mean, talk about the superstars of the 80s.
Right.
Think about the superstars that the 49ers have right now. With Colin Kaepernick on that verge, but Frank Gore and Justin Smith and Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman and some fantastic offensive linemen.
Yes.
And then Michael Crabtree was on that verge of breaking up into Vernon Davis. I mean, there are a lot of superstars on this team.
Yeah,
Andy Lee. Yeah, no question about it. Kevin McDermott, the new long snapper.
Oh, jeez.
We could go on and on.
Yeah, you just left my pay scale. So the book is the Complete Illustrated History of the San Francisco 49ers. How does somebody get it?
Well, you can go on Amazon. You can email me, and I'll send a signed copy to you, too.
Give us the email. What is it?
Well, actually, if you go on PayPal, and it's mattmayoko@gmail.com, $35, that's the cover price, and I will ship you a signed copy.
Spell your last name just quickly for the folks.
Maicocco.
There you go.
Take me a lot of years to perfect that.
Try Juricich.
I got it done.
Try Juricich. Wow. People look at my name and say I'd like to buy a vowel. Let's go around the league a little bit. Last week, what stunned you, didn't stun you? I was a little disappointed Tennessee didn't hold on up in Seattle.
Oh, right. But what I'm starting to look at is coaches on the hot seat. I mean, because you go to Houston. Everybody thought Houston was going to be a Super Bowl contender.
Last couple of years.
Right. Kubiak, he could be in trouble, down there. Leslie Frazier in Minnesota, he could be in trouble. I mean, Gus Bradley, it's his first year, but they're 0-6. And what about Tom Coughlin?
Well, Coughlin, probably gets a little bit of the sign of the cross for 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years or something like that. But stranger things have happened. Yeah, and all of those things to me are related to the quarterback. Right. Some of the teams have one. One of those guys isn't performing. The other 2 teams don't have one.
Right.
And the other one has a great one who's playing about as well as the 4 of us could play.
Right.
So I mean, it's it gets tough.
There's a lot of we talk about Kansas City now every week. It's the team de jour, and the stats last week against the Raiders were just astounding. 10 sacks and. And that was against Terrell Pryor. I mean, if it was against Carson Palmer, it might have been 30.
But, of course, who the Raiders have on their offensive line.
But I mean, still getting 10 sacks in a game, and they had all these other stats. But still, 6-0. Can't sneeze at that.
But if you look at it, the Raiders it's still in the game in the first half.
Yeah.
Their defense is playing pretty well.
Right, exactly.
You can only stay out there for so long.
Yeah. It must get frustrating for a writer or somebody that's on this all the time to figure out teams like Cincinnati, You know, which one's coming this Sunday? You know, the one that can just beat this team up here and then go to Buffalo and need overtime, even though I think Buffalo
might be a little bit like
yeah,
that,
right.
too.
They could be.
They could be very dangerous.
Has it always been like this? Because it seems to me that from week to week, even you know, covering the 49ers, you don't know what you're going to get from these teams.
Right.
That's exactly
and,
right.
And you know, in the we always talk about the glory days, but you knew week to week.
Yes.
Oh, the 49ers are playing the Falcons. They'll beat them by 28 points, and they did.
Most of us only cared about that point spread. But anyhow, that's
But there were never. I mean, it just didn't seem like there were the upsets or there were the uneven up and down performances that you see from these teams. So I
think a lot has to do with injuries. The injuries this year are just off the charts. And Gerard Mayo now out for the season for New England.
You know, and I mean, I think we talked about that last week with the new CBA in place. And, you know, they cut the time that you can actually spend with the players. You're seeing more and more injuries. I mean, there's more hamstrings injuries, you know, this year than I remember when I was, you know, coaching with the Niners. So I think that has a lot to do with it. The players asked for that.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is what you're getting. You know.
And then the old thing, too, you know, Mark, they wanted parity in this league. Well, you got it.
This year, it's certainly the case.
You got it.
And the NFL's happy about that.
You know, Pittsburgh is now somewhere in the weeds. I don't know. And the Giants, and and we thought Atlanta would be much better this year. It's so surprising what's going on. So keep your seatbelt on.
I mean, think about it. I mean, 1 or 2 injuries, and boom, your season is shot.
Right.
And
which goes to show the 49ers with all the injuries and having a Gerard Eddy there, and they're still winning. You know, they're deep.
You know what helps with the 49ers, and you're right, they are extremely deep. And when the season started, I thought, oh boy, cornerback, that's an issue.
Yeah. You and me both.
Now they're so deep at cornerback.
Right. Yeah.
Now the guy, you know, Nnamdi Asomugha, he gets ripped a lot, but he didn't play that poorly. You know, he in his 4 games as the number, or 3 games as the number 3, he wasn't that bad.
He had a great point in the first game of the season. He said they ought to go to safety.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, I think what he does best, though, is that he gets up in a guy's face, and he's 6'2", and I think the quarterback looks over there and sees a guy 6'2" on him, jamming the guy at the line of scrimmage, and what the quarterback then does is go, okay, now I'll go over here.
Yeah.
So that's what, I mean, Nnamdi can't turn and run with the guy, but he can at least make the quarterback disrupt the timing and go.
And he can pin him to the sideline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Eric Wright coming back, who started a lot of NFL games.
That's what I'm saying. Now, Nnamdi Asomugha might get cut in the next couple weeks because Eric Wright is coming back.
Right.
So my point being, 49ers have a lot of depth because right now, the way this team is set up, they can have depth because they're only paying their quarterback $1 million.
Right.
When Colin Kaepernick gets his contract, that's when you're going to be seeing the depth start to whittle.
One more time before we go to break, the complete illustrated history of the San Francisco 49ers by Matt Mayoko, forward by Dwight Clark. That was
You've
none
heard
of
of
that guy. I've heard of that guy too. One quick thing before we go to break: if you'd ever like to contact us and tell us how horrible this show is, go to lovetheniner@aol.com. That's lovetheniner@aol.com.
Can I get that?
Yes, you can. We'd love to hear from you. We'll be back with segment 3 right after this.
Blackout.
Blackout. No, that's not it. That's not it.
You know, the other guy who I was watching.
Hooked on the Niners is supported by Parkside Grill, 650-529-9007. On the web at www.parksidegrill.net. Handlery Hotel, 1-800-995-HUSH. The website is www.handlery.com. Poplar Creek Golf Course, 650-522-4653. And on the web at www.poplarcreekgolf.com. Eddie Perez and Company, 650-363-5904. On the web at www.eperezpainting.com. Armstrong Carpet and Linoleum Company, 415-751-2827. On the web at www.armstrongcarpet.com.
Welcome back to Hooked on the Niners. Before we get into next week's game and some of the nonsense we've been talking about, the post-game interviews, you know, when Harbaugh comes out and Kaepernick comes out, is it just me that I'm old and worn out?
No.
I'm dying for one of you guys to say to Kaepernick, do you really not want to be here? The headphones, the hat sideways, we didn't play well. We didn't execute. Well, get another guy out here that can give us you guys are there for us.
Exactly.
I want information.
You know what? And I think maybe Colin loses sight of that.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing: is that a lot of people don't want to hear a media guy whining about a player, but the quarterback is a unique position in sports.
Absolutely.
He is a guy who can stand in front of the camera and set the tone for everybody, for the fan base, for his fellow teammates, for the coaching staff. He has an opportunity every week to deliver a message.
Yeah.
And it's something that Tom Brady doesn't take lightly, Peyton Manning doesn't take lightly,
Absolutely.
Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. I could go down the list.
Right.
He has to learn, he has to mature and get to the point where he's using us. We're giving him the platform to use us to get across the message, and he doesn't do it.
Can you say it any better than this?
Well, you know what? If I was his agent,
Yeah.
I would sit him down and say, okay, look at Brady's interviews, look at Manning's interviews, look how they dress.
Right.
And and look how they speak to the media.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Just settle down, guys.
You're complaining about you're only making $1 million right now.
Yeah.
Okay. You want more endorsements? Do this.
Absolutely.
Market yourself right now.
Only got 2 minutes. We got to talk about Tennessee. Thoughts? No quarterback. Fitzpatrick? I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
On
strike
the
one
road,
against them.
pretty good defense.
Yeah.
Niners should 31-10.
Yeah, they got to win this game.
Yeah.
Tennessee's
31-10.
Oh,
Yes.
I wouldn't say that bad, but this is a game they should win.
I just hope they don't have their mind on shepherd's pie.
That was an issue 3 years ago.
Shepherd's pie was?
Yes. Well, not shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie.
But looking ahead to that London trip. Here's the thing: Tennessee is a lot better than people think.
Yeah.
This is a team that went up to Seattle at Seattle and gave them everything they could handle.
Absolutely.
And so this is not going to be an easy game for them. And the 49ers have to determine how are they going to cover Delaney Walker at tight end with a banged up Patrick Willis.
Okay. You say it's a win.
Yes.
A win.
110.
Niners win.
Yeah, I'd say so, but I think it's going to be iffy.
I'd say
it is.
Niners win too.
Tennessee.
All right. This week we had our somebody guessed it last week, and I was a little mad, so I went to the security thing here. The word was arc. Arc.
Like in Noah?
Well, yeah, right. I bet none of the guys in the NFL have ever built an arc.
That's short for Arkansas.
Okay, well, I probably would say. The good stuff is the complete illustrated history of the San Francisco 49ers, written by our guest, Matt Mayoko. Matt, can't thank you enough for being here, partner. We'll get you back here faster than 5 years. All right. We'll see you next week right here on Hooked on the Niners. Yeah, it'll be at least 4.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to get crazy here. This is the fastest half hour in television.